It's a question dividing parents this morning. Should kids make friends with their bullies? It's part of a new submission to the Federal Anti-Bullying Review, with the leading parents group pushing for healing over punishment.
So what is restorative justice, and could it actually work? Joining us for more is child psychologist Claire Rowe and Damien Elwood, president of the Australian Council of State School Organisation. Thank you both for your time this morning. So Damien, let's start with you. Your organisation is behind this submission. What does restorative justice actually involve?
Restorative practice brings the bully and the victim, I guess, together in a facilitated conversation. And it aims to teach different ways of dealing with conflict. It helps the bully understand the harm that they've caused and to empathise, to encourage them to take responsibility and to learn constructive behaviours. On the victim side, it's meant to empower the victim to express their feelings, set boundaries and gain assurance that the bullying won't continue.
Like, in theory, I like the thought of it, but Claire, in practice psychologically, some are calling it kumbaya therapy. Does it actually work? Is it beneficial?
Yeah, thanks, guys. Yeah, I think that was me who said, like, you know, we're just coming around for a bit of a kumbaya chat about this. Look, I think restorative justice can have its place. It's essentially a mediation type process, I guess. And I think that if we've got a friendship that has been fractured, and we can bring two students in to talk about, you know, taking accountability and gaining empathy, like was just described, I think that's great. But I'm really against it when we're seeing it applied as this kind of one-size-fits-all approach to targeted, repeated bullying. And I think it can't be there just as a silver bullet, the one thing. I think kids who are victims will really lose faith in the wider system if bullies are not met with some type of age-appropriate, consistent boundaries and consequences as well to their behaviour. So yeah, I'm worried about it.
And not to mention, I guess, the fear that victim might feel facing up to their bully. I mean, Damien, surely that has to be considered as well. I mean, obviously there needs to be some kind of punishment handed out to the bully for their behaviour, but to expect the victim to then face that person, that's a frightening thought for them.
I think you're right. I think there are concerns, and I think the restorative practice is appropriate in some circumstances, but not others. And it also sits within a suite of tools that a school can apply, rather than like being a silver bullet, like you said. So it must be victim-led. It needs to be consent-based. It needs to be trauma-informed. The consent must be informed, ongoing, and reversible. The goal is healing and accountability. It shouldn't be friendship. Friendship might be like a consequence in the future, but it certainly shouldn't be a goal within the restorative practice. And definitely the restorative practices, if done too early or done badly, can re-traumatise the victim.
I suppose it also depends on the severity of the bullying. And Claire, I guess that's one of the considerations here, because you do, as Sarah points out, you want to make sure the victim is being looked after here mostly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, as Damien just said, at the heart of that, it has to be voluntary. Okay, we should never be forcing, whether it's children or adults, to come into a situation where we're having some type of forced reconciliation or forced forgiveness.
Why is that?
You know, at the end of the day, we don't want to be giving that message also to kids, that, you know, when someone has harmed you in that way of consistent targeted bullying, that you are going to be forced to have to sit down with them. And if you choose not to and put that boundary in place, I think that's a very good lesson as they grow up to become adults.
All right, I think Damien, you're basically advocating for a national approach to this. But Claire, if I could ask you as a psychologist, what would be the best way forward then?
Yeah, I think a national framework would be great, because I think schools are doing things differently. But I would like to see a return to kind of behaviour 101 principles, and that requires, you know, as Damien said, different types of strategies in there. But we have to come back to the fact that human behaviour is driven by consequences as well. And I think in the last 10 years, we've really steered away from that. So we do need, as I said, age-appropriate, consistent boundaries and consequences for kids who are engaging in repeated bullying behaviours.
Very good, Damien and Claire. Good debate. Appreciate it. Thank you.